What's up, class? It's Senior Bishop once again. So today we'll be learning ELA prefixes and suffixes instead of science like I originally talked about. Because yesterday I did not post, so I'll be posting the ELA today. For ELA, I'm gonna teach you prefixes and suffixes. There's even a prefix inside the word prefix. So see this? Prefix. Pre means before. That's a prefix. A prefix is when there's like a letter group before a word, before the root word, that changes the meaning. Fix is the root word. Pre is our prefix. So it comes before the root word. So prefix would mean word before fix. Suffix comes after. So it's a letter group that comes after the root word. Suffix. Suff would probably be the prefix inside suffix, okay? So enough with this confusing mumbo jumbo. Let me write out 10 words. Here are my 10 words. I'll be asking you whether they are prefix or suffixes. So coolest. What word seems familiar to you in coolest? Cool is pretty familiar, right? Cool. Let me draw what cool would look like to me. A guy in shades. Pretty cool, am I right? So we know what cool means. Now it's time to figure out what does est mean inside coolest. We all know coolest means that one person or one thing has the most aura inside a bunch, right? So est has to mean like they're the best one. Best. Or est has to mean that it holds the most meaning of whatever root word it has. So coolest, that would mean you're the most cool, all right? Dumbest, same thing as coolest. So dumbest, we know dumb is familiar to us, right? That's our root word. So the letters that come after est should mean that you have the most dumb, or dumb is the most compelling onto you. Unsurprising. We see surprise. It's spelled differently, still surprise. Said it that way at least. So unsurprising. Surprise is our root word. Then we have ing come after. And un come before. Unsurprising means it's pretty underwhelming. It did not astound you. So the prefix un must mean that it cancels out or it's beneath. The prefix un should mean that it's not as much as it should be. Then ing. We all know ing is the action of which something is happening. So think of it like this. I punch you. Okay? I punch you. I punched you already. Punched you. I punched you. That's in the past. I'm punching you. That's the action of me physically punching currently. But if I just punch you, one punch, one occurrence. You get it? So unsurprising means something was underwhelming to you, did not catch your eye, not cool, not anything really to you. Surprised. We know surprise. Surprise is when something catches your attention, draws your eye. So we just went over what ed is. Ed is past tense of something that you already have done. So surprise has to mean you've already been astounded, or you've already been fed eye candy. All right? Infamous. Famous, that's very familiar to us. Famous, think of an idol. Famous, think of who I'll become in the future. Famous. So infamous, what should that mean? Infamous, I've heard of an infamous villain from Spider-Man when they're famous for all the wrong things. The prefix in means like canceled out. But inside this case of famous, infamous is saying that you're famous for all the wrong things. If I were to say I'm incapable, that would mean I'm not capable at all. So in this marker, in and un both mean not or something negative. Now that that's clear, we'll go on to impossible. We all know the familiar word in impossible. Think of it like something's possible compared to something being impossible. We know possible means that it's doable, something that you can achieve. But impossible, that should mean it's not in your grasp. You are nowhere near able to do that. So impossible, that means im, I am, in, I n, and un, un. All mean not or something negative. So remember this. Whenever you're trying to break down a pretty huge word, think of it like this. Find the root word, or however many root words there actually are. Then find the prefixes and suffixes. Combine the meanings of the prefixes, root word, and suffixes to get your full word and the definition of it. No matter how hard it is, this strategy always works. Playful. We know what playing is. It's when you're doing something you enjoy. So playful. We've heard the word full before and the word play. So adding the suffix full should mean full of play. If I were to say a dog is playful, I'd be saying the dog is full of play. The dog is full of play. Now, for the word pronoun, we know what a pronoun is, right? He, she, they, them, him, his. Those are all pronouns. So we can see noun inside the word pronoun. A noun is a person, place, or thing, right? And a pro, we all know noob, pro, and hacker. So that's not really what pro means. Pro isn't, for prefixes, pro isn't short for professional. Inside prefixes, pro means before, in support of. So pronoun should mean in support of a noun. It just shortens the noun, says the gender. Now for handy, we have hands. So that should be our root word. Very familiar to us. If it's familiar, it's the root word. Just think of it like that. Don't see and, see the full root word, hand. Now for the one letter Y. Didn't I say group of letters would be the suffix or prefix, that's not true for everything. The suffix y is actually a true suffix. It doesn't have to be multiple letters to create one suffix. So y, what should that mean? Have we seen y as the last letter in many other words? We've seen happy. We all know who someone sassy is. Someone sassy is someone like a little rude, or someone who always has something to clap back with. Sass, that is also a word. So someone who is sassy compared to someone showing sass, that means that someone who is sassy should be someone showing the action of sass. Someone who is handy should be someone showing the action of hands. That would mean our suffix y, that means to the action or full of. It's just like is, the action or full of. I am the happiest, action or full of. I'm full of happiness. We understand that. Tallest, that's just like dumbest and coolest. Tallest should mean you're the tallest. What does tall mean? Oh, tall means that in relativity to the people surrounding you or the average height, you are surpassing that. That's what tall means. You can only be tall in relative to people. You can't just be tall because you feel like it. You know? I can't say this pillow is tall without giving evidence of why it's tall. I could say this pillow is taller than this other pillow. Now that would make this one tall. Because now it's tall and relative to another thing. You understand? Now that I've broken that down, I'll give two big words. And I'll break those two down, giving my methods. And then I'll go over all the certain word types. Immaturity and precautious. These are both two relatively big words. Why they are relatively big words and not actual big words is because they're big words compared to some words like as, even like, tool, and top. Immaturity and precautious are big words and relative to these words. That's what I mean by big words. I don't mean actual incomprehensible nonsense, just gibberish. Immaturity. We see im. We've already discussed what im means. Im means not or negative. Mature. We know mature. Mature means to like be developed. Mature means to have what you need to. If you're mature in life, then you're basically prepared for life. Bars. So mature means to be grown in some way. You get me? Itty. We already know why. We know why means the action or being full of something. So itty, it means the same mostly in these type of words. So combining all of this knowledge together, immaturity means not grown full of. To be full of ungrowth or to be full of being immature. So immaturity means that you are showing actions of not being fully grown. Precautious. Like we went over before. We see pre. Pre means before. Pre has a few other meanings, but it's mostly before. Cautious. Cautious means caution. We see caution and cautious. So caution or cautious, both of them are completely similar words. Either of them must be our root word. Let me just pick cautious. Cautious means that you're prepared for caution. No, cautious means you're prepared for danger. So that must mean the word precautious means to prepare for danger. So it means being always alert for danger. Not just you're prepared for it, you're always alert for danger. Precautious is kind of like a character trait. Somebody who's precautious will always take caution leading into something, either dangerous or not, and relative to them, of course. And noun, we went over that. Nouns are person, place, or thing. A pronoun. A pronoun is like she, he, basically that. Pronouns are describing what a noun is. Pronouns are description for a noun. An adjective. Adjective is basically describing the extent of something. Now conjunctions. Conjunctions add two sentences together. An independent clause and a dependent clause. So it's basically in between words. A word I've been using to continue my sentences a lot recently is the word so. I've been using so, now. I've been using and. I've been using but. Those are all conjunctions. There's two types of conjunctions: subordinating conjunction and coordinating conjunction. I'll go over that very later. Right now, we're just learning what they are, the basics of it. We'll go into details later. A verb shows action or state of being. An adverb is a word that describes an adjective or a verb, or an adverb can describe itself. Some adverb would be how, or another would be when. Adverbs are basically the 5 W's and others builders. A preposition shows the relation between the noun and the rest of the sentence. Now for determinants. Inside a sentence, determiners. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Inside a sentence, determiners basically come before the noun and pronoun. It comes before it to give more detail on what the noun and pronouns are doing, how they are, what they look like, and the reason they've done that. So it's basically just more details. These are all the sentence makers that I know of. Now let me create a sentence just as a quick review. Now, is it a conjunction in this sentence? Or is now an adverb? Or is it a determiner? Could be a determiner because it's saying the time. All right, that's details before the pronoun. It could be a conjunction because it combines two sentences, although it's in the beginning. But it ends up being an adverb because it's acting as a transition word. For after now, this whole thing, let me create a sentence. Let me create a sentence. Could that be on its own? Let me create a sentence. Now let me create a sentence that's its own. So that would mean it's the independent clause, leaving just for a review as the dependent clause. Since we know just for a review is the dependent clause, it cannot stand alone as its own sentence. We'll look deeper into that. Just is an adverb. Just right now is modifying the sentence. Because I could say, let me create a sentence for a review. But let me create a sentence just for a review. Now that's modifying onto what the original sentence I made was. For a review, this stands as a prepositional phrase. Now that we've broken down what a sentence is made of, how to construct sentences, and how to break down more sentences on your own, we can read this out. Now, that is our adverb. It's acting as a transitional word. Let me create a sentence. That's an independent clause. The dependent clause, just for a review, just is acting as our adverb. I'd like for my smart young viewers to construct one sentence with the most passionate words. I want their sentence to be full of story. In fact, even make a story. Whoever makes the best 2-sentence story will be getting the next shout out. This is Senior Bishop out. Goodbye.
Giây phút em gặp anh là em biết em si tình, tình 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 toan toan tình mình tình tan 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 tình.